Hello and welcome to the July edition of Spotlight Tampa. I'm Steve Overton. Thanks for joining us today. First in the Spotlight, are you ready for hurricane season? The National Weather Service staff works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, tracking the latest weather patterns. Meteorologist in charge, Brian Lamar, has the forecast for this hurricane season.
The National Weather Service, we're here 365 days out of the year, 24 hours a day around the clock, and we're here really to provide information so people can make decisions to protect their life. And what we're doing is we're using high-resolution computer models, and we're using computer data. Say it could be from satellites, from Doppler radar that we have here in Ruskin, and that information allows us to produce forecasts to help other people make decisions. So again, it could be hurricane season, it could be not hurricane season. We're going to be here. We're in the first month of the season running through November 30th. We've already seen one named storm, Tropical Storm Ana, that was off the southeast U.S. coast, and we're monitoring another system that's developing in the Gulf of Mexico. But what we're looking at is a below normal year this year. And the important thing to remember is no matter how active or inactive a season may be, it only takes that one storm to change your life forever. The NOAA Hurricane Outlook is calling for a below normal year, and the weather pattern that is really dictating that hurricane frequency is going to be called El Nino. And so we've all heard of the El Nino and the La Nina weather pattern, but El Nino really is generated from warmer water in the eastern Pacific Ocean. And what that does is it creates a stronger jet stream across the southern U.S., the Gulf of Mexico, and the tropical Atlantic, where a lot of our storms tend to form. So the El Nino weather pattern is actually going to create a below normal season, but we always tell people to remember 1992, we were coming out of an El Nino year, and we saw the first named storm in August, and that was Hurricane Andrew. Did a lot of damage in South Florida. So again, every year is the year to prepare. We can only go back almost a decade ago, and that was the last time that a major hurricane hit the entire United States, but it's also the last time that a hurricane hit Florida. And again, that was 2005 October storm, Hurricane Wilma. And it's a good point to remember because in this area, in the Tampa Bay area, the west coast of Florida, we tend to have two peaks during that June through November hurricane season. June, we tend to see a minor spike in the activity, and we can go back to 2012, we saw Tropical Storm Debbie. 2013, Tropical Storm Andrea, both of which produced tornadoes, high winds, shut down Skyway Bridge, produced a lot of flooding in many areas across the area. And then we're looking at, for this year, the potential for another tropical system to come our way. But again, it's been almost 10 years since Florida has seen a hurricane. The best thing to be prepared is really to know what you're going to do before that tropical system comes our way. Don't wait for the National Weather Service to issue a tropical storm or a hurricane watch or warning, because then it's too late. Everyone's going to be rushing to get their supplies. You want to start now when the weather is nice and basically form a hurricane safety kit. And you want to make sure that you have at least food and water to survive for about 3 days, because that may be the amount of time that power is out. But more importantly, that if you're stranded, that may be the amount of time before emergency response officials can come to you to bring resources your way or to get you out of the area. But another important point is to make sure that you have a NOAA weather radio, because power will generally be out. And we all have cell phones, they're great, but they run on batteries and they may die and you may not be able to charge them up. So again, a NOAA weather radio, you can stock up on batteries, and you can also buy ones that you can hand crank. It may sound archaic, but again, it could give you information that could generally save your life when severe weather or hurricanes come to your way. So again, a NOAA weather radio is an important part of a hurricane safety kit. And have medicine, have cash, because ATM machines are not going to be powered. And so you want to make sure that you think ahead, and definitely do it now when the weather is nice, to go out there, stock up on your hurricane safety kit, and have a plan. And number 3 is really going to be listening to the advice of the city and county officials. If they tell you to evacuate, don't question it, just get out. And we always have that phrase of run from the water and hide from the wind. And what that means is generally in about 3 to 6 miles of the coastline, you're going to be in danger of that storm surge. And that can vary based on where you are and if you live close to a river. But you want to make sure that you evacuate to a friend or family's place farther inland. Get away from the storm surge, because storm surge is the #1 killer of a hurricane or tropical storm. This year, the National Weather Service is debuting 2 new services for storm surge, and some of them are experimental, but you will be able to see this information on our website. Weather.gov/Tampa is our local page. You have hurricanes.gov is going to be the page for the National Hurricane Center. But all the information is going to come out through media, through emergency response officials. But what we're going to show now is a tropical storm or hurricane storm surge watch or warning that'll be positioned along the coastline. So it'll tell you that, okay, storm surge can still impact your area even if you're not within a hurricane watch or warning, because sometimes that water can still flood an area, but you may not receive the stronger winds. And we saw that a lot with Hurricane Ike that hit Texas, Hurricane Katrina that hit Louisiana and portions of Mississippi and Alabama. The storm surge can impact the coastline well away from the hurricane winds that we always produce a warning for. So again, tropical storm, hurricane storm surge services are going to be coming your way this summer as well. And another one is going to be the actual graphic that we're going to be able to show what areas are going to be seeing a lot of water coming to their area. And it's going to have a scale of up to 3 feet, up to 6 feet, 9 feet, whatever it may be. But again, you're going to be able to see in your area where will the most water potentially flood your area. And again, the emergency response officials are going to be using that information to provide evacuation orders, but nothing supersedes the order. So again, if you're ordered to evacuate, you want to listen to that and get out of the area.
Remember, even though a below normal season is forecast, it only takes one big storm to create catastrophic results. So make sure that you and your family are prepared. The Florida Aquarium is now celebrating 20 years of educating Tampa residents about the ecosystems that surround them. Aiding them on their mission is the Bay Spirit 2, a 72-foot catamaran that takes visitors on a sightseeing cruise they won't soon forget.
During the 20 years I've been here at the Florida Aquarium, I've seen it grow from a dirt parking lot and a warehouse district to really the gem of Channelside. I mean, it literally sparkles. And our education program and our conservation programs have grown exponentially during that time too. And those are the things that people might not see from the outside. So the purpose of this eco tour is to get out into Tampa Bay and experience Tampa Bay and all the wildlife that's out there that is right in your backyard. You might not even know it's there. You're likely to see anything from dolphins to migratory birds to nesting birds like egrets and herons doing their thing, doing their mating dances, taking care of their chicks. Manatees sometimes pop up on the radar. And of course, just the fish and the rays and everything else that you can see. If we're really lucky, we'll see an eagle ray burst out of the water. There's a number of different animals that we could see out there from our eco tour boat. Well, out in the Florida waters, be it the Gulf waters or the Atlantic coast, we have about 30 different species of sharks. The sharks that are going to come to mind when people think, is it safe to get in the water? They always think of Jaws. That was a great white shark. Those sharks do move in and out of the Gulf and Atlantic waters. More commonly, you might see tiger sharks and bull sharks as far as the big 3. But even with that number of sharks, out of about 450 kinds of different sharks out there in the world, we might see a few dozen accidents or bites from sharks worldwide and less than 5 actual fatalities. But the sharks that we do have in our waters, for the most part, most of the sharks are under 6 feet long, like black-tip sharks and bonnet-head sharks and sharp-nosed sharks. There's just a whole plethora of sharks that all are very different and very unique in our waters. So the sand tiger sharks there, they're our biggest sharks here at the aquarium. You can see them out in the Gulf, perhaps in the cooler times of the year, and certainly off of the Atlantic coast, where you'll find them from the Florida coast all the way up to almost to the New England coast. They tend to go into a little deeper, cooler water. They're best compared, they kind of move along like a dirigible, like a blimp. And then when they see a prey item, they'll snap it up, but usually just little fish. What's probably the most unique thing about the Tampa Bay area and the Tampa Bay is the fact that it's on the recovery. So 20, 30 years ago, you had a very different environment. It was more polluted. I think folks have now started to understand how they can impact the environment. So the water is making a recovery. We're seeing the scallop population come back. They're one of the animals that filter out the water, and when they go, everything else starts to decline too. So we're seeing better fish populations in the bay. That wildlife that I'm talking about may have not been as prevalent 30, 40 years ago. So we could stand here and talk all day about what's in the bay, but let's jump on board and actually let's go see. Let's go see, follow me. Look who I ran into here. This is Natalie. Natalie's a naturalist here on the Florida Aquarium's Eco Tour boat. So tell us, what can we see out here? What's the experience like? What do you expect to see on the boat?
We have a number of different animals that live out here in the bay, and of course primarily it's going to be the dolphins that live out here. There's over 500 of them that make their home out here in the bay, and we see them almost every trip that we come out. Whenever we see them out here, you get all of that great energy.
I could really see that, and the guests get really involved with you. It all becomes about who sees them and point them out, and the guests become the naturalists.
They were coming up, and if that dorsal fin came up, it actually looked like it was coming towards us as well. Yeah, so dolphins again are very curious. They have a lot of great senses. There's one right here in the wave. He was riding it right here towards us. If you see his gray body here.
How about if we look up? What do you think you might see? Anything worth
Lots
looking
of
up for?
birds. Those are my favorites actually.
Tell
Are
us
the
about
birds that are out here. We've got some pelicans. Actually today we've been able to see a number of them diving out here because that is how they hunt for fish. They will actually hit the water so hard with their body to stun the fish and then be able to scoop them up into their huge beak.
Kidding.
Yep,
That's
we've
how that
got
works.
terns, we've got gulls out here too, because we have one of the most amazing places for them to breed here, the bird islands that have been created by the port so that they can be able to be out here and not only fish but be able to have their babies. There's also manatees out here. There's lots of different kinds of fish like tarpon, big sport fish like that. We've got sardines that live out here, turtles, all sorts of amazing animals.
How many people can fit on this boat?
We definitely can have over 100 people out here.
Wow.
I think we have a second floor deck, we've got our first floor deck, and also the front of the boat, which is my favorite area of the
Sure.
boat, because I'm kind of little. So having the stadium seating up there at the front definitely helps out when seeing the dolphins. But you can see them anywhere on the boat out
It
here.
sure looks like that. That's fantastic. Well, tell you what, I'm going to go look for some right now.
Okay.
It's been great talking to you, Natalie.
Yeah, great
Get
talking
back
to you
to it
too.
and tell the guests what they're going to see next. So I'm not the only one who enjoyed the Eco Tour boat ride today. I've run into a couple of ladies here. Tell me about your experience. Was it what you expected?
I didn't really know what to expect, and it was definitely a dolphin tour, so I was super excited about that, to see dolphins, especially out in their natural habitat. But I got to learn a ton of facts about different birds, such as the egret and the pelicans, and that the Florida Aquarium has helped to rehabilitate other animals out here as well. So it's been just a neat experience to be able to see how the Florida Aquarium is helping out and how I can contribute to helping out with the environment as well.
Sarah, what did you see out here?
It was really cool. We got to see a couple dolphins. We had so many birds that we saw, like Rachel was talking about. I've done tours like this before, but for me, this is like the biggest boat I've been on, first off. That
no
was
kidding.
pretty cool. I got on and I
Congratulations.
was like, this is awesome. But it's really cool to come out here and just be part of the aquarium, and you're able to come out and see so many different things, and you get to be a part of it. You get to be interactive with it, and so we got to point out the dolphins, and it was really, really cool to be interactive and be able to help her find the dolphins. So it was pretty
Fantastic.
cool.
We'll learn more about the Florida Aquarium and how it's grown over the last 20 years next month on Spotlight Tampa. A group of aspiring young ball players from the City of Tampa's Parks and Rec Department recently took part in a 3-day camp put on by the Turn 2 Foundation. They were even treated to a visit from a very special guest. Spotlight's Chris Phillips takes you out to the ballpark.
I wanted to give back to the kids here in Florida, in New York, and in Michigan where I grew up. And I wanted to help kids, set their goals high and work hard and stay away from drugs, stay away from alcohol. And we've been very successful throughout the years, and we're happy that you guys are here. You guys one day are going to be the role models for hopefully my kids, and I hope you guys are enjoying your time here. It's fun. We've had a lot of support you know, from former players, you know, baseball players, other sports, whether it's coming to our fundraisers, our golf tournament, our dinner in New York, speaking to the kids at clinics here in Michigan. You know, you can't have a successful foundation without the support of the community and, you know, ex-athletes and celebrities, and we've had a great deal of that. I think it just shows that people believe in what we're doing. Our leadership program is something that's you know, the staple of our foundation now, and that's something that we are extremely proud of. You know, the kids that we have going through the program, you know, it's a 4-year program from freshman in high school to senior year in high school, and these kids are leaders in their communities, not only in their schools, but, you know, we promote social change and giving back and higher education, and, you know, our kids are ones, everyone that's had an opportunity to meet our kids throughout the years has been pretty impressed.
The Turn 2 Foundation funds charities in Tampa, New York City, and Kalamazoo, Michigan, Derek Jeter's hometown. 25 years ago, with the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, our nation committed itself to the elimination of discrimination against people with disabilities.
The Americans with Disability Act is turning 25 on July 26th. A big anniversary deserves a big celebration, and that's why HEART is partnering with individuals and organizations throughout the Tampa Bay area to commemorate this important date. One of these partners is VSA Florida. They're raising awareness through art.
VSA is a statewide organization, and we happen to have our offices based in Tampa. VSA was very excited this year because it's also the 40th anniversary of VSA, which is an affiliated program of the John F. Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., and it also happens to be the 25th anniversary of the ADA. And so we did want to be able to find a visual way to express what the ADA or the achievements of the ADA may mean to people, and to create an awareness from our own perspective, to create an awareness of the diversity and the ability of inclusion of all people in the community. And art is one key way that really there are no barriers and no boundaries for people to be able to become involved and express themselves in whatever manner they're able to through the arts. And so we decided to have what we call a call for art for the 25th anniversary of the ADA, open it up to all artists of any ability, and allow them to share with us what they felt the ADA feels like or has meant to them in some manner. The winning piece, which is called Crossing Barriers by artist Anita Dollar, that image is going to be placed inside all of the HEART buses, the fixed route buses, which will be helping to promote the anniversary of the ADA and the event that's coming up, which is really exciting for everyone. And also the company that does the JC benches around the state is going to use that winning image and information about supporting the 25th anniversary of the ADA on benches around the state. Not all the benches, but on selected benches around the state. It was an exciting effort for us. It's the first time we've done this, and hopefully it won't be the last.
Since 1990, HEART Plus has been providing paratransit service for our customers with disabilities, and thousands rely on it every year.
The services that we provide, invaluable to our customer. We provide that independence to be able to get to and from work, to and from appointments, with door-to-door service for those people with disabilities that are unable to use our fixed route system. It's a level of service that has been in place since 1990, since the ADA was enacted, and HART has been following their commitment to providing these services throughout the years.
Over the past decade, ridership on HART Plus has grown exponentially. That fast growth generates an even greater demand for HART staff coordinating hundreds of rides each day, which in many cases is their only means of transportation.
So our partnerships in the community, we've been working with our local ADA committee, which we have internally at HART, but we're also a member of the City and County Alliances for Persons with Disabilities. Some of the agencies that are part of that committee include the Lighthouse for the Blind, the City of Tampa ADA Liaison, the Hillsborough County Liaison for ADA. We have partnerships with McDonald Training Center working with people with deaf and hard of hearing. With the school system, working with our charter schools for those students with disabilities. And so we've been networking with these agencies and trying to be able to provide their constituent base better service, but in addition to getting them to and from the locations that they need to get to. Our employees, our operators are all put through a very extensive training program to understand the ADA and our responsibilities as a transit provider. But in addition to that, working with people with disabilities, those that are easily recognizable and even those hidden disabilities. So, you always have to give that consideration when you're providing service, that not every disability is something that is equally present or visible, but we still need to treat people with the utmost respect and providing them the services that they need.
For our next segment, we head out to the wilds of Sefner to the Hillsborough County Extension Service, where we will learn about a new technique that can save you money and is environmentally friendly.
My name is Sean Steed. I'm with the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Science Extension, Hillsborough County. Today we're going to talk about solarization of soil, heating of soil to recycle it back so you can reuse it. Here we've got a model of a recycling soil solarization area, and it was mainly developed for the commercial nursery industry, where they're dumping used potting soil into a big pile, and previously it was waste. Now with this method, we can recycle that soil back into production. What this is going to do is this plastic is going to trap the sun's light and turn it into heat, and it's going to raise the temperature of the soil to cook all the bad organisms in there, like fungus, bacteria, weed seeds, and it'll sterilize it to where you can reuse it. You're going to need a top sheet of plastic separated from another sheet of plastic by about 4 to 6 inches. This top sheet really retains the heat and makes the system operate more effectively. Underneath the top sheet, we have our brace to hold it up. If we remove that, you can see our bottom sheet, which is flush against the soil. Underneath this sheet, here's our potting soil that we're trying to sterilize. If you're going to try this at home, you want to wet this soil, not to soaking wet, but just damp enough to make sure it's moist. That'll make sure that the heat will move through the soil profile. Also, you don't want this soil to be too thick. And you can see I only have a few inches of soil in there. 3 inches or less is going to work the most effective. Any larger than 3 inches, it takes much longer for the heat to go down and penetrate, and you start losing the effective killing of that heat temperature. If you've got container gardens at home, or you've got old pots of soil or dead plants, instead of throwing them out and buying new soil, you can use this method to recycle that soil. What this will do is it'll sterilize all that soil with about 140 degrees temperature, and it'll kill all your pest organisms, nematodes, fungus, bacteria, weed seeds. And you can use this, you can dump your container soil in here, you can build a small area, or if you can't do it with potted soil, you can use this in your garden. This can go right over, you can lay this plastic right over your garden at home. Make sure it's wrapped and sealed at the edges into the soil. Lay something above it to keep the second sheet from touching this bottom sheet. You want an air space between these two plastics. After you do that, you want to wrap it tight, keep the edges down, and this will cook a few inches of soil, so it'll sterilize it like you've just put in new potting soil. If you leave it for a long time, you'll get a better kill on your pest organisms if you're using it in the ground. If you're using potting soil and you built something like this, say for your pots or your container soil, this will cook it within a day or two. And you can check that by using a soil thermometer. You want at least 140 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour to kill all those pest organisms. The longer you leave this in, the more effective it's going to be and the broader scope of pests that you'll kill. Even though this was a method developed for the nursery industry to help them save potting soil, it can be very effective for the home gardener. You can reuse those old pots and those containers of soil, or you can use the soil in your garden and make it fresh again using solarization. These two pieces of plastic and a little bit of time will save you a lot of money in buying fresh soil. If you have any further questions, you can contact us at the Hillsborough County Extension Office. Please feel free to check out our website or call our number, and you can also drop by for a consultation.
Nurseries can save over 10% of their total soil purchases implementing this simple soil solarization technique. Save water, save cash assistance still is available for Tampa water customers. Using less water is one way you can shrink your utility costs. Think of it as a diet for your checkbook.
Reducing your monthly water use can help you keep your expenses in check so you have more cash for other things. Deciding to reduce your use is up to you, but you don't have to go it alone. Want to go it alone? Here are 3 do-it-yourself steps that can work. Let's start by deciding if a water use diet is right for you. We can do that by comparing your average monthly water use with other similar Tampa water users. You will need your water bill. You can find it online at tampagov.net/COTU. Once you have your bill in hand, find your water customer class. It is located here right under your account number. After you locate your customer class, look at your potable water use in the CCF column above the billing detail. If you have a meter designated LWN, don't forget to add that usage to the usage shown for your primary water meter. Compare your monthly usage to 8 CCF, 5,984 gallons. That's the average amount of water used each month by other Tampa homeowners. If your household uses more than the average, making some simple changes can bring that number and your monthly water costs down. Cutting your water use also may reduce your wastewater and energy costs, depending on where you make your cuts. The quickest and easiest way to kickstart a water diet is to make sure your property is leak-free. Just remember 10-10-2. 10% of U.S. households and businesses are estimated to have leaks that equate to 90 gallons a day or more. 10% of your water costs can be cut where leaks are contributing to usage. 2 places to look for leaks are toilet flappers and your indoor and outdoor faucets. They're the most common locations for leaks. You also can use your water meter to help you get started. Make sure all water is turned off and then go out to look at your meter. If this red triangle is moving with all your water turned off, there's a leak somewhere in your system. If you're irrigating with city potable water, up to 50% of your monthly use may be going outdoors. Something as simple as reducing the number of irrigation events or reducing irrigation zone run times can produce a high level of savings with minimum effort and minimum cost. During summer months, the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences recommends 20 minutes a cycle or less for spray heads and 40 minutes a cycle or less for rotors. Where automatic irrigation systems are in use, periodic checks should be made to ensure that the required rain sensor device is in place and working. A working rain sensor can reduce outdoor water use by as much as 20%. If your rain sensor is the type with a button on top, turn on your system, then press and hold the button down. Your system should shut off. When the button is released, the system should resume. If your rain sensor does not have a button on top, consult the manufacturer for test procedures.
To take advantage of the free coaching, free water-saving devices, and recommendations provided by the Tampa Water Department that can help you to save water, save cash, call 813-274-8121 or email savewater@tampagov.net. This month on Spotlight Tampa, we're introducing a new segment called Making a Difference. It features stories about everyday people like you who are living their lives to the fullest and helping others in the process. For our first story, Frank Crum profiles a woman whose love for the game of golf is empowering others to practice winning every day.
My name is Clemmy Perry, and I'm the founder and executive director of Women of Color Golf.
A few years ago, Clemmy Perry was laid off from her job and began praying about a new direction in life.
Fortunately, I was traveling down to do some contract work, and my youngest brother found a set of clubs sitting on a trash pile, and he decided that he would pick them up and we'd take them back to Tampa and I would learn to play golf.
Before long, Clemmy was spending most of her time on the green. Picking up a set of clubs gave Clemmy a sense of unparalleled confidence. Although she was having fun on the fairways, she felt as if something was amiss.
I did not see many women that looked like myself, and I decided that there needed to be a movement because they were just missing out on so many wonderful things in life that the golf experience could offer.
According to the National Golf Foundation, out of the 25.7 million Americans that golf every year, only 5.4 million, or less than 5%, are people of color. Energized with purpose, the Tampa native set out to shake up the status quo.
What Women of Color Golf offers is an opportunity for, I like to say, the new person, the person that's never had a set of clubs in their hands, to give them that opportunity to learn about the game and to offer a pathway that would be affordable and to allow for collaboration of like-minded type of individuals.
The first time I saw the Women of Color Golf organization in full force, I felt like this is what I signed up for. We're making a difference and we're about to change the game of golf.
The movement that is Women of Color Golf is definitely getting noticed. Clemmy and her team have carried their message of inclusion to many prestigious golf tournaments and community events.
What's the first thing you're going to do?
When it comes to mentoring, WOCG has hit a grand slam with its Girls on the Green Tee initiative. The program shows young women how to drive their dreams down the fairway of life.
And we like to call it the 3 E's. First of all, you have to give them the education about golf and why it's important and how it will change their life. The second one is exposure. You have to then expose them to the opportunities, the kinds of life skills that they will learn, patience, practice, showing up on time. And then the last thing, of course, will be to give them the experience of being on a golf course and being in this type of environment, the experience of meeting different kinds of people all over the world. Every time I see a young lady step up to the tee, I realize her world has now expanded.
Women of Color Golf has several long-term goals, but no matter how high the organization flies, Clemmy says she'll never forget its true purpose.
I can remember one of the women that attended one of our clinics. She said to me, "You know, Miss Clemmy, I've had those clubs in my garage for 3 years and I never touched them. And what you did was you gave me the opportunity to put those clubs in my hand." And I started to realize that if we could get the clubs in their hands, we could make a movement.
This is Frank Crum reporting for Spotlight Tampa.
Well, that's all we have for you this month on Spotlight Tampa. I'm Steve Overton. Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.